Hi everybody, Julie here, and I am going to do a process video of this layout I'm going to create for my daughter and my niece. These are some pictures. I think I took them, and when I printed them, for some reason, like I ordered them online, one came back as a 4x4, even though I took them all at the same time and ordered them all at the same time. And so what I'm going to do though is just do a collage here in the middle, I think. But I'm gonna cut these two down so they're all 4x4, or maybe 4x, I might trim a little bit off the edge just to get them in a little bit, so there's a little bit of a border here. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward what I'm gonna do and get this page done. All right, here we go. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is trim up my photos and get them all about the same size. I'm cutting the edges off too. So I'm cutting down from 4x6 down to about 4 by 3 3/4 or 3.5, depending on how much. I'm not being real picky about it because it'll turn out fine. It always turns out fine. I'm okay with that. And then I'm just gonna arrange them here, and I'm thinking about taping them all together, but the one to the right, I've decided is probably my favorite, and so I'm going to keep that one separate and pop it up with some foam tape when I put them down. So, but I did join the other two, just a little bit of washi tape on the back. I'm marking my corners here because I am going to do a little bit of mixed media on the paper, and so I want to know where to place my photos when I'm done, and also where to put the colors so you can see it and it's not all hidden behind the photos. This is just a big bucket of white gesso, and I'm using my Catalyst wedge to just apply some uneven stripes. And now I've got to let it dry. So I'm going to move on to my next step. Oh, look at me cleaning up as I go. Usually I don't do that, so that's smart, Julie. Good job. All right, so I'm using a kit that I created for part of the Mini Kit Monday Facebook group online. And the freebie this month, which I'm so excited about freebies because I love freebies, was anything gold. So I have my Ranger embossing powder in Princess Gold and all these little wood veneers that I'm finding. And I'm going to go ahead and emboss them using some Ranger embossing ink in a little dauber bottle, and my heat gun, which you'll see here in a minute. It's really kind of funny. I had asked my husband, my heat gun that I had died, and one year for Christmas I said I need a new heat gun, and so of course he asked at one store and nobody knew what he was talking about. This is the story I got. Nobody knew what a heat gun was at whatever craft store he went, and so he just went to Home Depot and bought me this heat gun. It's a yellow one by Wagner, and I took it to a crop one year, and one of the girls at the crop asked me, she goes, "Did you bring a drill?" So I always think it's so funny when I show up with this heat gun because it looks like a drill, and it's pretty funny. But I'm not going to show you all my embossing here and all the heating and all the drying because it is just a lot of redundant and a lot of work. But if you have any specific questions about anything, just feel free to ask me below and I'll gladly answer any questions that you have. So I've decided to do only half of this word awesome. I saw this technique somewhere on Instagram, I think, a few years ago, and you use two embossing colors. So you just daub on like one half, heat that, and then you do the other half in another color. And so that's what I'm doing with that word awesome. And there's that yellow heat gun that looks like a drill. Okay, now I'm using, well, this is the Ranger Dauber again, but I'm going to use a different color embossing ink, and this one is by American Crafts. It is a Zing embossing powder, and it is called Powder, if I'm not mistaken, because it's a very light blue. And so I can see it's kind of adhered itself a little to the gold. So you just kind of scrape off what you don't want, and it's really forgiving. And also I'm going for like a mixed media look, so I'm okay with a little crossover. I don't want a hard line. I want more like a faded into each other kind of effect. So that's kind of exactly what I end up with here in the end. Awesome. Okay, now I am going to, I think, work a little bit more on some of these other wood veneers that I had, these wood veneer hearts and that little Polaroid frame. I decided to put a little gesso on them just to provide a better surface for the spray ink to adhere to, because the spray ink will be brighter since I put the white gesso on, and I'm just using a very thin layer of white gesso, like not coating it real heavy, just kind of smooshing it around with my finger. I'm just pulling out all my colors of pink that I have. There's some Heidi Swap color shine that I have in blush, and I think primrose, and then there's a vintage pink from Tattered Angels, and then another one, from Tattered Angels is also the polka dot pink, which is probably one of my favorites of all time. But next to these other pinks, it looks really kind of purpley. So I'm just gonna kind of mix things up, shake things up, add color wherever I think I need to. I'm gonna use all the mists I pulled out though, just in a different piece each. Ooh, look at that bright color there. Looks a lot darker than the other ones, but that's okay. You gotta love all the shades of all the pinks. I end up actually not using that photo frame, but I do like how it turned out. So I'll save it for another project. But I do use those two hearts. Okay, so now we are pulling out some stamps. This is how I've kept some of my stamps that are so old and won't stick to anything anymore. But these are flourishes, maybe version 2 from Autumn Leaves from a long time ago. And I remember when I went to go buy them at Hobby Lobby, they were sold out. So I actually had to get a rain check on these stamps before I could actually get them. I had to have them, and I have used them over and over. And I've even gone to crops and people are like, can I borrow those? And I have to show them how to use them because they won't stick so well anymore. So you can just see me here. I'm just using some Ranger Archival ink in black. And I'm covering my work surface, and I am just randomly stamping the swirls, and I am intermixing them. Is that the right word? Like stamping over each other. Like, it's okay because these swirls, they add a lot of charm when you can mix them and just have them be a random stamping. And I'm just going to do that one side of the page, not even all the way down, but just around the white gesso that I spread out earlier. It's just going to be an accent to when I put the photos down. Just another touch on the page. Also, since I am not sure my gesso is 100% dry, I am wiping my stamps off between each press onto the gesso, and that is because I don't want to transfer paint back to my stamp pad, because once you get wet paint onto a stamp pad and it dries, it's not good. So make sure you clean your stamps if you're working with wet media like paint or gesso. All right, that looks pretty good. So we're gonna move on to our next step, and I'm gonna be cutting some banners. And these are papers that I pulled to put in the kit. This is a gold one, and I'm kind of struggling with where to cut this arrow because it does have a focal point, and I'm thinking I want to use that possibly in a bigger way. But anyway, I just end up cutting a piece off. I've also got some scraps here, so I'm cutting different banner shapes or different sized pieces out of all the scraps. Here I've found several pieces in this Maggie Holmes paper from the Flourish collection, just some bits, and I'm going in and cutting out with my trimmer. You just kind of go in and set the blade down where you want it to cut around, and you can see I've done that a few places there. Just get a couple pieces I want. I think I used them all except maybe one piece. But I like to keep the page intact so that I can see everything at one time. This piece I'm really struggling with because I'm trying to decide if I should cut it out of the middle or in the end. I don't know, because I don't want to lose the focus, but at the same time I think the bend in the chevron arrow would make a good banner piece. But in the end I just cut it off the edge and save that large focal point for a bigger project. I also have these Run Afar chipboard stickers that I've had many years, and I find a piece in there that I like, so I'm going to use it. Now these are just a random collection of scraps I keep by my desk. They're cut-offs and little pieces, and I just clip them all together and keep them next to me for stamping a word on, or if it's just a little piece, I just need a little piece of paper, I might go there first. And so I found a few pieces in here that might work as banner pieces. That is just some cotton twine, and I'm just going to work on starting to assemble my banner that I want to sit under the pictures. There you see me trying with the ink pad to try to find a border, and it's just not working out. Okay, so we're just going to start gluing things down. And I've got my marks. I can still see one mark on each side, so I kind of know where the corners go, where I initially, set it up to lay. I've got that foam on the back, so it's going to pop up a little bit, that one, and a little off center because that's always better to me. And now I'm going to start cutting my, I don't know, what do you call these, ribbon tails, fish tails. For the most part, I just meet the corners and then just cut a V. That one didn't want to bend because the glitter was right in the middle, so I had to cut it up the middle and then snip each corner separately. But the rest of them, I'm pretty much just bending and trimming. I'm playing with that tag there, that hot pink tag. It was from some piece of clothing I bought, but I ended up not using it. But I did save it for another project, but I did end up using that little blue house that I tried to put on it with the paper square I made for it. You'll see me do that in a little bit. But here's some of those bits and pieces from that Maggie Holmes Flourish paper. Just adding them in, creating a random layered look here for the banner. You'll see me just trying things out and seeing where I like them, where things go, fiddling with all the pieces I've embossed, as well as the banner pieces and a few other pieces from the kit I created. That frame, I just can't find a good place for it, so it does go off for maybe the next project. There's those little hearts they made it on, both of them, one for each girly. And the string is there. I was debating if I should use the string, not the string. Can anybody even see the string? But I did tuck it behind everything and kind of glue the ends down in a curly pattern. I'm also using a cutoff of this, one of the tags I made, or banner pieces I made, and just tucking that underneath the awesome. Yep, and the string goes down. I'm just putting glue at the top of the banner pieces to attach it to the string and to the page. I am leaving the bottoms kind of open and loose, like just in case I need there to be some more movement later, but I just let them lay there. I like the way it ends up looking. Some of them will have a little bit of a lift to them. And that black and white one with its bold pattern, bold stripe pattern, made it right into the middle. I really like the way that turned out. I also pulled out my inker there, and it does have black soot on it, but I am not re-inking it as I go. I'm just using what's on the pad, and also I'm not really remembering to do it every time either, so some of them will be inked on the edges and a few of them will not, and that's okay. I'm debating if I should go all the way around the craft paper, and I might eventually, but when I finished, I actually didn't do that. But there's things that you might look at something and say, oh, I should have done that or not done that or did that. Like, it's okay. I'm okay with it. The way things happen are the way things happen, and try to put it in perspective that things happen for a reason. I'm not perfect, and I don't expect my pages to be perfect either. This is just an expression of my life and some of the things I could do. I'm not perfect, and my pages don't have to be perfect either. I don't expect them to be perfect. And so I hope you don't put that perfection on yourself, because it is paper, paint, and pictures. It's the memory we're creating. That's what I tell myself. I am just creating a remembrance of the memory of what happened. I'm not recreating the actual event. I like to do things in odd numbers, so I try to do 1, 3, 5, 7, but sometimes it doesn't always end up like that. I'm just looking for some pop dots right now, I think, for that butterfly. And adding a little extra glue just so it sticks forever. Look how cute he is right there. I'm just trimming up that little house that I embossed with the powder, embossing powder, and glued to a piece of paper so it has something coming through the windows and doors and a little heart. And now I'm going to add some drops of color, so I'm just covering up my pictures just to protect them a little bit, and some of the banners. That's a gold, a Heidi Swap Color Shine in gold, which this is my second bottle, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm kind of sad that they're not making it anymore, but I just keep using it because that's what it's there for. Glue is wandering all around the table there. I decided I needed something on this corner over here, so I'm just kind of working on figuring something out over there. There come out those enamel dots, and all those colors are perfect to my kit. The pinks, the blue, and the green all add a little something to the kit. So I'm just dropping some enamel dots around. I kind of like to cluster them. And that was enough of that. Adding some little bits there, getting it all set up. I decided that some of my banners needed a border, like a separation from between the pictures and the banner, and the best way I could do that was just add a little washi tape there to some of the tops of the banners, and it just creates the idea of separation, because I couldn't add washi tape to the top of every one of them because of the layers. So I just created the idea of separation. I'm also adding a few other little bits and bobs around, looking to see where things go, trying to figure some things out. What else do I have in this kit? I found this little rose shrinky dink I had made many years ago, and I've just been pushing it around my craft room, and I found a spot for it, so I'm happy to use that up. I pulled out this bag of sequins, and so I'm just adding some large sequins around the whole page in hot pink and gold, and I didn't realize a silver one had fallen out right there in the middle of my page, and I do eventually end up gluing that on. I am not a snob when it comes to mixing metals. I use silver and gold interchangeably. Like, I'm okay with that. I also realized there needed to be some green at the top right corner there to balance out all the green in the bottom left corner. So I found that date chipboard piece and stuck it up there. There goes that paper clip, that gold paper clip, sticking it there in the corner. Perfect. Kind of adds a little finishing edge to that banner on that side. Now I'm taking these letters. These are old. They're from Basic Gray. I think it was a Valentine's line, and they're just individual handwritten chipboard letters. And I'm just going to pull out the word here for my title and glue them on. I'm writing a little bit about the impromptu photo shoot. I don't remember what date it was, and that's okay, but that's it. I am finished, and I've got a few close-ups coming next. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.